Hey guys, we're on lesson 5. Lesson 5 is on page 43 if you're not already there. We are looking at solve time interval problems. That means time. So we're going to use those number lines again to find the end time or the start time when you know the amount of time that has passed. Our class will visit a museum that opens at 10 a.m. It takes 45 minutes to travel from the school to the museum. The students need 12 minutes to get on the bus. At what time should the students start boarding the bus to be sure they arrive to the museum when it opens? All right, so here we're going on a trip. Number line, find 11 a.m., count back how many minutes to find the time that the bus needs to leave the school. All right, so it takes 45 minutes to travel from the school to the museum. So that's what time that bus needs to be pulling out of that parking lot. So it needs 45 minutes to travel down there. So it's 10 a.m., back it up 45 minutes because that's the travel time that the bus is on the road to get there. So if we take 45 minutes away from 10 o'clock, all right, here, let's use this clock. Even though this problem, we can still use the numbers to kind of help us. All right, o'clock is at 12. Right, we're backing it up 45 minutes. So there's 15 more is 30, 15 more is right here. So that's at 15 after. So that need to be pulling out of the parking lot at 9:15 a.m. Okay? It's 9:15. Here's where you can double check. 9:15, if we add 45 minutes, we'll be at 10. So all that works. So that's good. Now, we need 12 minutes for the kids to load the bus. From the time they leave the classroom, there's going to be a few of them that are going to have to go to the bathroom and get a sip of water. So it's going to take about 12 minutes to head down that hallway and get all our little ducks in a row to get on that bus. We've got to back it up 12 more minutes because we got to incorporate that time or we're going to be late. So if we're at 9:15, well, if I take out that whole 10 minutes, that would put us at 9:05. Then do a little subtraction because 2 and 10 make our 12. So that would put us at 9:03. So at 9:03, we should be boarding that bus. Or start boarding the bus. So at 9:03, we should be walking out of our classroom to get on that bus and be on the bus by 9:15 so we can be at the museum at 10 o'clock when it opens. Okay? So very similar to what we did last time. They're just putting it in more of a story thing. Okay? Turn the page when you're ready. This is a short introduction because it's a review of what we did yesterday. So there's not a whole lot we're doing together. You're going to have to do some on your own. Okay? All right. If not, we're going to move on. So Molly wants to see the dinosaur animation show. It takes 10 minutes to get from the entrance of the museum to the show. There's a wait time of 15 minutes at the entrance of the show, and the show lasts for 20 minutes. If she arrives at 4 o'clock, at what time does she finish watching the show? Okay, now she arrives at the museum at 4 o'clock. Now remember, when she walks through those doors, it's going to take her 10 minutes to get where this show is. Then she's going to have to stand in line for 15 minutes, and then she'll go for 20 minutes. Okay, so writing a total number of minutes So here's your 10 minutes. She's going to be walking down to that where the show is. Here's add 15 minutes to that because you're going to have to stand in line for 15 minutes. Then add 20 minutes to that because that's how long the show lasts. So if you add 10 plus 15 plus 20, that's going to equal, that's right, 45 minutes. Okay? Forward, because we're starting here, we're trying to find the end time, so we're adding that time until we get there. So here, we'll just go in the increments they gave us. Here's the 10 minutes to walk down there. So that's at 4. Then 15 minutes to wait in line. So that gives us to 4:25. Okay? Then add 20 minutes to that, because that's how long the show is. Well, that's 4:45 when you add that to that. So what time will she finish? She's finishing at 4:45 p.m. Okay? So if you notice, see, this is that, this is that, this is that. Okay. Give you a second. Pause if you need to. If you don't, let's look at what you're working on all by yourself. We've got a concert that's starting at 7. So we've got the chorus performs 30 minutes. There's a 15-minute break, and then the band performs. So 30 minutes for chorus, 15-minute break, and then 30 minutes for the band. Add that amount of time to that to find out what time the concert ends. All right. Then, whoops, let's try this side. Here we go. All right, so write the start time or end time. Use AM or PM. Don't forget about that. So here's your story problem. Here's your start time that you've got to figure out. So do whatever strategy you need to solve that. Use your number lines. Use a clock. Whatever you need to do. Then, Greg is 32 years old. He has a resting heart rate. Now, resting heart rate is whenever you're just sitting still, not doing PE, you're not running around at recess, you're not having a good time at lunch. It's just whenever you are resting like you are right now and listening to this math lesson. That's a resting heart rate. So, his is 65 beats per minute. Greg measures his heart rate after he's been jogging around, and then he stops jogging at 8:46 a.m. At first, his heart rate is 155 beats a minute. Woo, he jumped up there. The table shows his heart rate after each different amount of time passes. At what time, after Greg stops jogging, 78 beats per minute. Okay? Work on this carefully because this is kind of interesting. So here's what we're kind of looking at right here. He stopped at 8:46. Okay. Now, 6 minutes passes and then he's at 78. Okay, do you see that? So he stopped at 8:46. Then he rested for 6 minutes. So to get to this 78. So what time is that? Now I gave you a little helpful hint there because I'm using with all those numbers. All right, now Al wants pizza for lunch. He takes 15 minutes to make it and 3 minutes to cool. What time should Al make the pizza if he wants to eat at 11:55? So that's your end time. 11:55 is here. You're going to using these times to find out what time is his start time going to be? So that's what you're looking for, his start time. Then, on the back side, chorus practice starting with 10 minutes of warm-ups. Then the singer's practice is on for 40 minutes. Clock shows what time this is. At what time does it start? So, you got to figure out what time that is to be able to figure this out. The Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. is the largest library in the world. Now, Malachi arrives at the library. He spends 17 minutes at an exhibit about Thomas Jefferson. Then he spends 24 minutes at an Exploration of America's exhibit and 19 minutes at a current exhibit before the guided tour of the library. At what time does this tour start? So he's got there at 11. 10 minutes he spent at Thomas Jefferson, 24 minutes at the Exploration of America, then 19 minutes at a current exhibit. So you got to take all that into consideration. Then the last one, Sammy arrives at school at 8:02 a.m. It takes her 6 minutes. She has reading for 45 minutes and science for 38. Can you add the times in any order? Now listen to that. Can you add the times in any order to tell what time the science ends? That sounds like something talking about moving around and still getting the same answer. Hint, hint, hint. All right. So, number 1, you're going to 8. It may take you a minute because there's a lot of words to get through on this one, and that's okay. So, work on that carefully. And I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. I'm going to work on mine, yours, and when you're ready, hit play, and we'll check our answers together and see if you came up with the same thing I did. All right, so I'm going to be working on mine while it's paused, and you work on yours, and I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. All right, pause it. Get busy. I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, guys. I'm back. I worked through my problem. I'm sure you have worked through all of yours. So let's look. If you're not ready, make sure you pause. Make sure you've worked through all the questions before you look at the answers. All right, so concert starts at 7 o'clock. There's a 15-minute break, and then the band practices or performs for 30 minutes. So we're at 7. We had 30 for chorus, 15 for the break, 30 for the band, so the concert ends at 8:15 p.m. Okay. Remember, you didn't have to go in those same increments. The main thing is you have 8:15 p.m. as your answer. All right, moving along. Here you needed to add 4, 15, and 30 to that. So you should have come up with 4:56 p.m. And on number 3, you worked backwards. You started at 10 and you subtracted 12, 18, 24 and ended up at 9:06 a.m. Okay. Then Greg, I gave you a helpful hint. He stopped jogging at this time. He rested for 6 minutes to get to his 78 beats per minute for his resting heart rate. So here, he rested for 6 minutes. You should have 8:52 a.m. Now, Al's lunch. He wants to eat at 11:55, but it takes him 15 minutes to make the pizza, 18 for it to cook, 3 minutes for it to cool. So if you just listed those, added that up, you've got to back it up 36 minutes. So I forgot something here. So I started at 11:55. I subtracted 15, 10, 10, and 1 a.m. right there. Okay. Didn't have to go in that same way. You could have subtracted different increments as long as you got to 11:19 a.m. Then on the back side, You had to tell what time this was before you could even start solving the problem. So that was 2:30. And chorus practice starts with 10 minutes of warm-ups, and a song for 40 minutes. So they want to know what time does it start. So take out, well, if you got 40 and 10, that equals 50. We've got to take out 50 minutes. So I decided to subtract 30 from 2:30 to get me at 2 o'clock. Then subtract 150. Subtract another 10, I'm at 140. Because this is what time. So if you take 2:30, take away 50 minutes, that gives you 140. Then the Library of Congress in Washington question. So Malachi arrives at 11 o'clock. He spends this time at the Thomas Jefferson books, 24 minutes at the Exploration of America's exhibit, 19 at some current exhibit that they've got going on. So you've got to figure out how much time has elapsed here, 17, 24, and 19. Well, when you add that, look at 60 minutes. 60 minutes is the same as, that's right, 1 hour. So all you got to do is take an hour. His tour is going to begin an hour after he gets there. So that would be 12 o'clock. That would made it easy once you added all those, but it was 60. Then Sammy arrives at school at 8:02. Takes class. She has reading for 45, science for 38. Now, it really didn't ask you a question to do anything with those numbers. It only asks you, can you add any order? Yes, because of the commutative property. I did some shorthand here. Plus numbers. Add numbers in any order, it will be the same. So, you didn't have to have those exact words, but you need to say, yes, you can do it because of the commutative property. You can add them in any order. So, if you need to finish writing some stuff down, make sure you pause it. Now, the next time, you're going to do the review. Now, you've done well. You should do fine with this. You just got to take a little problems, okay? All right. So, you've got an ed assignment. Be careful. Work carefully on your ed assignment. And I will see you next time.